Yeah, it's much better. I forgot this phone defaults to video stabilization on, and it seesaws to try to hide all of the vibration in the road, because it's windy, it's bouncing around a lot, so that's way better. Where was I? See, and again, it's one of those frustrating spots where it's like the staff was super nice, actually. It wasn't a bad place to deliver. You know, I was in and out in about 40 minutes, and they did everything. Well, I did everything, but it's their pump, their hoses. They just wanted me to hook it up because the guy that does it is lazy. I got that impression because he had me like do all of his paperwork and shit for him too. Like, you know, not his like private paperwork, but like anything to do with my truck. You know, usually guys will write in their own seal numbers and stuff, and he wanted me to write it all in. It's like, okay, that's not a big deal or anything. It's just, it was like, okay, this guy's lazy. Here we go, traffic. So this is the other issue with the whole Toronto area is over 1/3 of Canada's population lives in the cities of Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. So 1/3 of Canada's population, which I don't know the actual number of Canada's population anymore, but it's nowhere near the size of the US population, but it's the, how do I put it, if you were to take the square mileage of the greater Toronto area, there are more humans living there than effectively anywhere in the same square mileage anywhere else in the US. Like, Toronto is the 3rd or the 4th most populated city in North America. LA is the 1st. I want to say New York was 2nd on the list, and Toronto was either 3rd or 4th. But Toronto is smaller than Los Angeles, so it's more densely packed together. So the 401, I mean, again, a lot of guys in the US watch that 401 Heavy Rescue show, which this isn't the 401, but the 401 is the same type of highway as this. This is the 400. Most of the, how do I put this? A lot of, that show doesn't really exaggerate much. Like, that highway is, there's constant collisions. Like, I took 2-lane roads. It was 15 kilometers, so somewhere around 9.5 miles from where I delivered to where I had to drop the trailer off. And I chose to take 2-lane roads instead of traffic lights the whole time, because it was going to take me 27 minutes to go 2-lane roads and sit at lights, like in downtown Toronto. It was going to take me 45 minutes to do it by going onto the superhighway that should have a fucking 65-mile-an-hour speed limit, because of how busy and backed up traffic is. So, you know, the greater Toronto area is pretty, traffic is pretty dense, and there isn't really a, like, somebody said it, and I constantly have to remind my dad of this, because there's no such thing as rush hour on the 401 anymore. No matter what time of day, with the exception of maybe like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, you will always end up in bumper-to-bumper traffic. There is absolutely no point in time in any day where you can go on the 401 and be completely bumper-to-bumper free, right? Like, you will at some point have to come to a complete stop on the highway. It's inevitable. In the middle of the night, it's inevitable. This highway isn't so bad, but there's a lot of idiots. You know, there's also a lot of construction, so this whole section's 50 miles an hour, but it's, you know, the highway's got a posted speed limit of 65 most of the time, so people are not doing 50 miles an hour, because it goes from basically where we are now, pretty much 3/4, well, it goes up to Orangeville, which is like 50 kilometers. It's somewhere around 30 miles solid of 50-mile-an-hour road construction, but nothing going on. Like, there's nothing going on here. I haven't seen the construction workers. I haven't seen any workers ever here since they started doing this. There's spots where the roads are, like, they've got Jersey barriers up and stuff to keep the workers safe, but there are no workers. You know, go figure, I guess. Where was I here? You know, the traffic, like, again, right now it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, So the quote-unquote rush hour, or the stereotypical rush hour, is just beginning. So now that I'm north of the city, I'm ahead of a rush hour. But on the 401, it is... I was in stop-and-go traffic all the way to my delivery day, right? It's the way it is. You know, in a way, it's kind of a shame I didn't go on the 401, so you guys can see that, because again, I've talked to more than a few Americans that's one of the things that like stands out to them. Is like, I watched that Heavy Rescue 401 show. That show was crazy, and it's like that's the highway I go on every day. And for them, it's like this big celebrity thing, because it's, you know, it's like it's like somebody from Canada going to Hollywood or like basically anywhere in California. Like there's so many movies and TV shows that show it off and glorify it, and it's like, oh my god, I'm actually standing right here where, you know, all these famous things go on. So for a lot of people, it's really cool. And I know that kind of sense of like a little bit of ignorance is on both sides. Like I have to fight myself sometimes, right? Because I've got plenty of friends, you know, whether they're legitimate friends or acquaintances on Facebook, that obviously don't have the, you know, continent trotting, I wouldn't say globe trotting, so I've never been in an airplane, continent trotting lifestyle that I have, where I've been to every single one of the states connected to the mainland, not just the lower 48. So I've been to Alaska. The only one I've missed is Hawaii. You know, I've been to almost every Canadian province. I gotta step it up and get to some more of those. You know, I've seen a large portion of North America. So for me, it's not exceptionally exciting anymore for me when I go somewhere. However, lots of people are continuously enamored when they find out that I've got friends in California I go and spend time with. I'm going there this summer. I'm taking a week or two off, flying out there and hanging out with my boy Thomas. You know, they're oh man, what's it like in California? The California is always a big one, especially for like, you know, attractive girls that I like to hit on. Everybody's interested in what it's like. So, you know, same thing. Like I get a lot of questions about New Orleans because I've been there. You know, again, LA, San Francisco, like, you know, Vegas is another one that people ask me about, because I go to Vegas more frequently since I started here, because we have a pretty regular load going there. My dad just came, my dad's sitting in Vegas right now. He's got one on, so I gotta like start nagging a little bit. I should be due for one here shortly. Oh, stay off lights. I forgot there's a scale right here, and since I'm bobtailing, I can get over there pretty easily, but I don't fucking want to. What was I going to say? So, obviously people are kind of interested in it, and while most people's eyes immediately glaze over as soon as you start talking about trucking, if you're talking about where you see kind of more in the context of a typical traveler, people tend to eat it right up. So you become the most interesting person at the party because you've seen the most shit. But I have to fight. I have to stop myself, because when somebody else that I'm friends with or acquaintances with makes a post, you know, kind of hyping up the fact that they're going to, you know, a U.S. city as an example. Like there was a friend who I can't remember where she went. It was New York. She went to New York City, and you know, made a big thing about it on Facebook. And I didn't say anything, because obviously I have to remind myself that for people that don't drive a car, for example, like New York might as well be the opposite side of the earth, right? Even though they said if Mount Everest stood between Toronto and New York, you could see both cities. Or if New York was the height of Mount Everest, you could see Toronto from New York. They're not actually like that far away. You just have to get high enough to see over the curvature of the earth. But you know, for this person, like, this was a really, really cool experience. So of course, you know, there's lots of posts on Facebook all about New York and, you know, New York culture. Well, in New York they do stuff like this. It's like, and again, yeah, I didn't say anything, right? You're sitting there like, fuck, I know, I've been there, right? You know, same thing with like LA. Oh man, in LA here we got, you know, man, I didn't realize in LA they got this or that. And, yeah, well, they do things the LA way over here. The big one, I'm fucking irritated the snot out of me. When so many people found out I was going to New Orleans, oh, make sure you pronounce it Nolans. That's how the locals do. The locals don't pronounce it Nolans. they say New Orleans. So you're kind of in the middle. Most of the locals don't say New Orleans, but they don't say Nolans. They say New Orleans, right? And I literally had a conversation when I got the cell phone while I was waiting for the cell phone to be activated. It was another lady, she was a female truck driver getting the phone activated. That's what she was born. It was New Orleans. She said, yeah, I'm born and raised in New Orleans. She pronounced it New Orleans, not Nolans, not New Orleans, New Orleans, right? You're just putting less emphasis on the word new. But you're not like a fucking, like you got no fucking teeth, and your sister's also your mother, who's also your fucking cousin, right? Who's also your fucking pet goat. Like, it's not that type of situation. Excuse me. So, but it was the same, right? Like how many of my friends were like are, and this is nothing. This is not knocking my friends, because again, it's more knocking myself, because I have to continuously remind myself that 90% of the people that I interact with and socialize with do not have any first-hand experience with other cities. And again, it's even that, like I am just as ignorant of Europe, for example, because I've never been there. Right, my dad's side of the family emigrated here from Europe. Is this guy trying to fucking get a free pass here or what? Pickup truck drive around in Canada. I think it's the same in the U.S. Volunteer firefighters and first responders have a green flashing light. This black pickup has just solid green lights in his bumper. So I'm not sure he's in the hammer lane there. I'm not sure what that's about. But if he's actually a volunteer firefighter, he's supposed to, it's supposed to be like a rotating strobe. But yeah, like I said, I've got friends in Europe. I've got, people that I associate with on a fairly regular basis that currently live in Europe. I've got friends in Australia. Nicely enough, I've got friends all over, right? But I am reminded when I associate with them just how ignorant of other countries I am, right? Because I consider myself fairly educated, but it's more so with English-speaking countries, right? Like, I can, I've had conversations with English guys, and I will, by default, I'll refer to a hood as a bonnet, because people from the UK don't always know what a hood is, right? It's a bonnet. It's the same thing. Fries are called chips. Chips, our version of chips, are called crisps. So again, it's fun in a way, because they eventually they kick on. Wait a minute, because most of my friends know, the American sayings for certain items, but it's funny to I had one friend who, friends are all just people on Facebook as an example. Who didn't realize, like, they didn't catch on right away, right? Like, we're talking about stuff, and they're like, wait a fucking minute. Like, I know that Americans call crisps or chips fries. You've been calling them chips this whole time. I said, yeah, why the fuck not? I know what they're called in the United Kingdom. So it's not that difficult for me to just switch, right? It's It's the same when I'm in the U.S. I say everything in miles. Even these videos, 90% of the time, I'm saying everything in miles, because 90% of, I should say 90%, but a large portion of viewers of this type of content are Americans. I imagine there's a fair bit of Europeans that are into this. There's at least one guy that comments that's from the UK. The UK measures in miles as well, so for him it's not, such a weird transition either. Obviously, again, as a Canadian, my default system of measurement is the metric system, right? I measure in millimeters, centimeters, decimeters, meters, decameters, and kilometers. There's probably one in the middle too. No. Which, at a glance, is far easier. The hard part is it's not a the imperial system of measurement is, and it's probably because it's from where it came from. The imperial system of measurement is typically based on objects that people used before they had any actual measurement devices, right? That's why a foot is a foot, right? Somebody estimated, well, okay, you know, this object is 6 of my feet long, right? You know, this person is 4 of my feet tall, right? My kid is now 3.5 of my feet tall, so he's 3.5 feet tall. You know, it's why horses are measured in hands, right? Your sewing hands up is I don't know why they picked hands. I guess it's easier than trying to stick your feet against a horse. You know, it's the same with the UK. A lot of weight's done in stone, right? You're so many stone, and it's a fucking weight of rocks, right? And it's a holdover. And I don't know if people in the UK, again, to display my ignorance, I don't know if people in the UK are versed enough or actually knowledgeable about, like, you know, kilograms and tons, or like metric tons or pounds and imperial tons. You know, because again, it's the same. I don't know. It's. I feel like as a modern country, like using, you know, most countries have gravitated away from forms of measurement that are descendant or directly related to, you know, a point in history where we didn't have measuring devices, or at least not very good ones, right? That's why, you know, feet are feet. Inches, I'm sure inches were developed afterwards, and or somebody decided to take a foot and divide it into 12 equal segments and say that's you know, that divided by 12 is what an inch is. I don't know, right? I'm not a fucking scientist. But the you know, most of the world measures in the metric system now, both for weight and, you know, speed/distance. But it's where the easiest one for me a lot of times is I'll just say both. I'm fairly good at this point at just reading them both off. And it always makes me giggle, you know, like Americans and Canadians alike don't know the other system. Like, 'cause as a kid growing up, I think I've touched on this before, as a kid growing up, like, we meant, like, we said miles, but we meant kilometers. Like, as a kid, we just thought the words were interchangeable, right? So you don't understand miles. We were only taught the metric system. But you know, every movie, because 90% of the movies we watch are American movies, everything's in miles. So you just, in your head, well, okay, that must be miles, right? It was the same. Like, I thought it was so, I used to think it was, this is kind of a good example of kind of the cringiness of it. As a kid, when Gone in 60 Seconds came out, I thought it was absolutely stupid when the final chase at the end, where shit, I forget the actor's name. You know who it is. With Eleanor, and, you know, he accelerates up to 90 miles an hour, and it's this big fucking deal. I'm like, 90 kilometers an hour isn't very fast. Like, I'm doing more than that right now. Why is this such a big fucking deal? But 90 miles an hour is over 140 kilometers an hour, which is a lot faster, right? So as a kid, you're like, what the fuck is this? Well, these guys are fucking idiots. Like, 90 kilometers an hour, it's a fucking big fucking high speed thing. Come the fuck on, right? And that's not until you're an adult, I guess, or an adult, until I became old enough to realize, oh, no, that's a different system of measurement. That's fast. 90 miles an hour is pretty fucking quick. So it's, you know, as kids, we would interchangeably use that. And obviously, I don't think in the U.S. anybody interchangeably uses kilometers. We used it because miles were, like, the word mile is faster than the word kilometer, right? So it was just faster to do. But it is, as an adult, it's funny how many people obviously don't know the differences. I think I won't lie. I think more Canadians know what miles are than Americans know what kilometers are. You know, most Americans I've had when the discussion comes up, oh, you guys measure in those kilometers, right? And that's usually the answer. Yeah, they have no idea how much that is, but at least they know the fucking word exists. You know, I had one guy that asked me why we don't use miles. Because miles is it's a semi-archaic system of measurement that doesn't really line up. He said, well, how many feet are in a kilometer? I said, one, I don't know. But two, those aren't systems of measurement that are designed to work together. I can tell you how many meters are in a kilometer. I can tell you how many centimeters are in a meter. right? There's 30 centimeters in a foot. So, you know, you're 30 and there's 100 centimeters in a meter. So every 3 meters you got an extra foot. So every 3 meters is 10 feet, right? So, you know, you can make it work, but it's a lot more math. You can't just, there's, you know, this many feet. Like, I think there's around 3,800 and something feet in a meter, or in a kilometer. And I turn the question back, so how many feet are in a mile? 2,600 something? I think it's 5,248 or something like that. It's 5,000, it's over 5,000 feet in a mile. So the guy didn't even know himself, right? How his own measurement system works. I don't know why you guys don't just use miles. The problem was is because it's a sheltered thing. I don't want to sound like I'm shitting on Americans here. When you've grown up in a situation where the only thing you've ever known or needed to know is what you know, right? Again, 90% of films are American. Most Americans are not watching films from foreign countries. A, because most of them are from non-English speaking countries. B, because this guy needs to figure out what the fuck he's doing. He can't decide on a speed. He's going around and just blows my doors off and then just basically hits the brakes. Fucking goof. I mean, the problem is he's preventing me from getting in the fucking middle lane. That's all these guys want to do. I'm doing the legal speed limit for a truck in Canada, what I'm supposed to be governed at, which is 105 kilometers or 64.75 miles per hour. But it's also conveniently a speed that cars like to go. And I tell my friends this all the time. When you're on the 400 series highways, if you want to be, you know, if you don't want to go exceptionally fast or anything, go 100 or 110. Do not go 105 kilometers an hour, right? All trucks in Canada, well, actually any truck, see, this guy's fucking all over the place to speed to. Okay, fuck it. We're gonna break the law. I'm fucking tired of this shit. Now he's gonna fucking come in front of me. Oh my fucking god. People wonder why truck drivers are fucking miserable. All of a sudden he fucking doesn't want to get passed by a truck. Holy fuck, I gotta find my gas pedal. Fucking put her to the floor. Test my little fucking, whatever it is, fucking V6 Chevy motor out. Fucking no head. Where was I? Oh fuck, I can't remember now. Something pretty hardcore. Yeah, most people typically in Canada, you know, again, trucks are required to be governed at no faster than 105. I mean, if a U.S. company comes into Canada and their governors are set to 62, which is 100 kilometers an hour, well, that's on them. That's totally fine. But you cannot have a governor set that exceeds 105, or again, everyone rounds up to 65 miles per hour, 105 kilometers an hour. The problem is that cars typically, unless you've got guys that want to go fast, and again, the left lane are typically guys doing 120. You know, in Canada, you can usually get away with between 19 and 20 kilometers an hour over the speed limit on any roads with a speed limit posted of 80 or greater. So in an 80 zone, I'll usually do 99. In a 100 zone, I'll do 119, right, in my car. But people that don't want to go so fast usually hover around, because the legal speed limit's 100, right? So most guys will hover around that 100 kilometer an hour mark and fluctuate between 105 to, you know, 100. So for somebody who's governed at 105, it becomes very frustrating because the guys are either going to go the same speed as me or often slightly slower. And again, what you get is like that pickup, they'll go slightly slower until you go in the left lane to go by, and then they're reminded of the fact that they're going slower than they probably want to go, and they take off. So you merge left, and now you're sitting in the left lane, and inevitably somebody, if it takes you too long to get around them, somebody will have already tried to start coming around you on the right, so now you're stuck in the middle or the left lane. Again, I'm gaining on this car pretty decently. I'm still doing 105, right? I can almost guarantee, once I get a minute here, I'm going to go in the left lane, that, I'll wait for this car. There's a guy in the middle lane here. I'll let him, oh, he's going to leave me over. I won't get around him. I'm going to get around him for the sake of the car behind me because I'm going to speed up, but I won't get around him, right? He was gaining on me. Now I'm seeing fucking a little faster. Again, and it's not that, well, you know, every other car out here is somehow being a malicious prick and like trying to screw around with truck drivers. It's again, they're just people are in their own little world, and then, oh, there's a truck in the left lane, and they just speed up because they realize that they're going slower than they had wanted to go, but because they're off in, you know, dreamland, they've stopped paying attention to their speed. Again, it's easier for me to truck because since I have a governor on the pedal, my foot to the floor and I'm doing the speed limit, at least on these highways. You know, it's the same thing here. I was gaining on this guy, and he's kind of, my rate of acceleration around him is slowing down because he's speeding up. So what happens is truck drivers get the choice between doing what I'm doing right now, which can get me in quite a bit of shit, or slowing down. But then everybody's upset because trucks are driving too slow on the highways, right? So I tell everybody, all of my friends, anybody I come across, if you are on a 400 series highway in Canada, and you don't want to be one of those guys that does 120, do 100 or 110. Do not do 105. Do not do 103. Do not do 106. Do 100 or 110. That way, either the trucks are going to get around you, no problem, or you're going to pass the trucks, no problem. You're not going to have this hovering next to them kind of shit. Because again, a lot of people don't realize, like, that Acura or whatever the fuck it is, the Infiniti or whatever the fuck it is, am I right? He's in like the most dangerous place he can be in. He's sitting there, right? Like we're sitting right next to each other. We'll probably see him pop into frame a little bit again here. I can see the roof of his car, right? Just barely. No, I can see it fairly well. But if that's a larger car, a smaller car like the Toyota that just went by on the left, I wouldn't see him. If I blow a steer tire, it doesn't matter which direction it is because I got cars on either side, but if I blow a steer tire on the right now, before I have a chance to react, I'm into the side of his car and fucking sending him into the, you know, straight to fucking hell, basically. You know, same thing with trailer tires. I see guys sit next to my trailer all the time, and it's like, you're doing double danger duty here because you're in a spot where if one of those tires blows, you're either something's going to hit you and you're going to get hurt, or you're going to jump and panic and run off the road and get hurt or killed, right? On top of that, I don't have the ability to move if something comes up. You know, I think I mentioned this before, so I apologize if I'm going over stories now. A couple years ago, my friends and I all did a motorcycle trip to New Hampshire. My one buddy offered to lead while we were in Canada. I was going to lead the U.S. because I was already doing a lot of U.S. work at the time, so I was the one that knew how to navigate. Not that there's much difference, but they all just, again, none of them had ever been in the States before, so, you know, they all, Daniel's been in the States before, he knows how to get there. We were on the 401, again, the world's greatest highway, and my buddy, we started passing a truck, and then the lead guy stopped at exactly 105, and sat next to the drive tires on this 18-wheeler, just sat there. Didn't move, so for about 25-30 minutes, I'm waving at them and gesticulating for him and the guy, like his other buddy, who just didn't know any better, he's just following him, to move. My brother's behind the truck, because he's been around me long enough, he's smart enough to know, like, stay the fuck away from trucks. Twice that truck needed to move over because there was a cop on the shoulder. The first time was a cop on the shoulder with a vehicle pull over. The second time, I think, was an accident, like a fender bender on the shoulder. You couldn't move over. Now again, you could argue, well, you can slam on the brakes, but from the lead bike to the back car, we're all together. And again, the girls in the SUV behind us don't know any better either. He's looking at about two and a half truck lengths that he's got to slow down for last, like, split second to get into the next lane over. So he puts his blinker on, and my buddy just doesn't even look, just sits there, doesn't pay any attention. In hindsight, I should have floored it, got around all of them, and basically forced the entire convoy to slow down. I'm surprised that I didn't think of that at the time. It might be because I was so fucking mad at him already. Like I told him after we stopped, because it was a little while after we got away from the truck, or the truck got off on a ramp, I think even in Napanee, the fucking Flying J there. And we stopped a bit later, and I told him, and I told him, like, if we had stopped 20 minutes ago, I was going to fucking deck you. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? explained to him exactly what I just explained to you, the viewer, and said, like, you put yourself in the single most dangerous position you could be in on the highway for the last 25 minutes. Actually, it's the most dangerous position for all of us. Because if you go down, I have nowhere to go. I got a truck on my right, I got traffic on the left, I got the girls in the SUV behind me. So my brother's, you know, the one that was my brother's now wife and one of her friends, I'm like, so if you fucking fall or that truck blows a tire or something happens, you're gonna die. Dylan's gonna die. I might be able to peel off to the left is where I am, and my brother's wife's gonna fucking run over her own husband, and probably the two of you, right? And deal with that, right? I said, do not do that. If you want to go around the truck, fucking go. Well, why is the truck going that fucking speed? I'm doing 105. He said, that's as fast as he can physically go. Well, why didn't he doesn't he slow down? It's because he gets paid by how far he drives, right? Again, that whole concept is so alien to people, right? That like what a truck driver, how his pay scale works, and you know how different things affect truck drivers, right? Every traffic slowdown affects your pay for the day because you can't, you know, there's no overtime, right? I did that. I think I did that breakdown on one of my videos of how, you know, if you're a worker and work slows down for some reason, but you're not allowed to work overtime to recuperate, and you get paid for the parts you make, you know, you're losing money every time something prevents you from making, you know, a consistent number of parts per day, right? That's the same thing with trucking. You can make, you know, on an average day, a little over, like, let's say, round to a nice even number of 60 miles a day, or 600 miles a day, right? If for 2 hours you're doing less than 60 miles an hour, you're not making 600 miles that day. So that means for that day, you've made less money. Even though you've worked the same number of hours, right? You've made less money. And that's what a lot of guys say. Like, you know, guys have pointed out, like, if you go through, like, say, Atlanta, Georgia during rush hour, if you change your mileage rate to an hourly rate, you're making about 3 to 5 cents an hour. No, I think it was it was like $1.50 to $1.55 an hour, right? Like, you're making so far under minimum wage, it's not even funny because your hours are still ticking, right? You're still on the clock, but you don't get paid for how many hours you work. You get paid for how much distance you cover. So again, you get paid for how many parts you make. Well, if you only make 2 parts in an hour, in a 2 hour period because the line was broken down, and you get paid for those parts, well, you worked for 2 hours for effectively fucking free, right? You're still there, you're still on the plant, on the floor, fucking waiting for the parts to show up, right? It'd be different if for those 2 hours I'm in the fucking bunk playing video games, but that's not how that works. So, you know, you're working for free. So those kinds of things are some things that truck drivers are very, very aware of. So I'm gonna wrap this up because I'm almost out of time on this fucking clock thing. Yeah, I'm gonna do another video right away because I wanted to film fucking going right into the countryside, and you know, I'll post them both up as 2 separate vlogs. Have fun. Bye.